Hi, today I'm going to show you how to render out your JAX project from Maya. First thing you want to do is make sure that your view of your camera is the way you want it to look. And you're going to scrub through. You can kind of go through. Mine's lagging because I'm doing the screen recording, but I'm going to make sure that it looks the way I'm expecting it to. Once I know that everything is in frame, then I'm going to go and check my settings up here. I'm going to hit next to the IPR is the little settings dialog box that will pull up. I want to check my pathway, make sure that it's going to my F drive, my last name, my JAX project, and the image folder from there. I am then going to name, file name prefix, the name of my project. I'm going to call mine JAX, since we created JAX here. And then on image format, I will select JPEG from the drop-down window. Next, I'll come down to File Animation Extension, and I'll make sure I select Name Number Extension. Okay, the name is going to be what I called it up here in the file name prefix. The extension is the JPEG, and the number is just going to sequentially go 1 through, in my case, 120 frames. And then we'll come down here, start frames 1. My end frame is going to be 120. Your end frame might be a higher number depending on how long you decided to create your project. I know some of you were looking at like 300 frames. So whatever your end frame would be, you're going to put there. And I did come down here to the bottom. I changed my preset to HD 720. You could select HD 540. It will be a little faster if it's a smaller. This is basically the size of the project, your final project. If you were doing something for a portfolio, you wanted a larger, you could do the 1080. Once again, it will just take longer to render. So I selected HD underscore 720, and then I'm going to say close. Next, I come up to render. Batch render, and then you'll see the progress down here at the bottom. You can see right here my percentage of rendering. I'd already started this rendering, and it's showing me that it's currently working on number 38. So you need to wait till these are all rendered before you can bring these into Premiere Pro to edit. So this could take anywhere from, it depends on how much detail is in your project. This could take anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes. So you want to do this towards the beginning of class so you have time to let it go. You could also come after school and let it render overnight if you've got a really big project and you know it's going to take a while. So I just went up to render, batch render, and then you can watch the progress down here at the bottom. Once your Maya project is done rendering, you're going to launch Premiere Pro and click on New Project. You will direct this new project to the F drive. Mine's not going to the right location, so I'm going to go to my 3D 2019. I'm going to make a new folder called JAX. And so this is now going into my class examples. Yours should go to your F drive, last name, and then JAX. And I'm going to call this JAX, and I'm going to call it PP so I know it's my Premiere Pro. And then I'll say OK. And then I have a brand new Premiere Pro project open up. Now, Premiere Pro is actually a lot easier than it looks, particularly though after Maya. This is really easy. What you're going to have here is you have a preview window panel. You have your assets, what you bring into the project. This is your timeline, and up here in this panel is going to be where you have your what you've created. This will be like your edits. So I'm going to go. Let me move this so we can see it a little better. You're going to go File, Import, and then I'm going to go to my JAX folder. And in my JAX folder, I'm going to look for my Images folder. And then in here, I just select, this is the key here. You're just going to select that very first file and then select Image Sequence. That will pull in everything that's in order from what you've created into one file, so you don't have to import these separately. So select JAX, dot, and number 1, then select Image Sequence and say Open. This will bring into here your entire jacks, all the frames all together in one piece. You're going to click, hold, and drag and drop it to your timeline. And then you're going to select the spacebar on your keyboard to play. Now, I see at the end it's still rendering out, and so that last frame hasn't rendered where it's going to hit the jacks. It was in the process of rendering that. So once, if yours is all rendered out, yours will all show, but I can see, and you can use arrow keys on your keyboard to like move it. I need to cut that last one off because that's not a whole entire frame there. Okay, so now I'm going to move this over just a little bit. I'm going to click and hold and drag. You're going to see right here are your tools. You want to make sure and leave both of these files over here in our panel because one is the timeline, the other is what you imported. And what we want to add at the beginning is a title. There's a couple ways you can add a title. One is graphics, new layer, text, and then let me do that again. Oh, there it goes. It's just delaying a little bit because of my screen share. I'm going to get the arrow tool and I'm going to click and drag and center this. And I'm going to then get my T tool and I'm going to just type over this, jacks, jumping, whatever you want to call it. And you can see down at the bottom of the timeline, you can adjust how long this plays. My title's a whole 3 seconds, and so it went over my jacks project. This is my title. This is my jacks. I can scrub back and forth by grabbing, it's called a CTI, current time indicator, and moving that over to where I want to see my project. And then I want to make credits at the end. So you could once again go up to graphics, new layer, text, or you can hit graphics up here at the top and you're going to get, I'm going to click browse, and there's a bunch of templates that are built in here. So there's some cool titles you could use if you wanted to use this instead, or I could, in here, I'm going to, some of these credits are really long. Let's find a nice simple credit to add at the very end. If you kind of scrub over it, you kind of see what it does. Let's just add, I'm going to click, hold, drag, and drop it to the end. Doesn't matter if you put it on video track 1 or video track 2. You can layer if you wanted something on top of your animation. You could put this on top of it. Now, this is telling me that the fonts that were created in this, for this template are not available. And so I'm going to say OK, and then it's going to tell me in another window that it's not available, and that's just the fonts that created these are not here. And so I'm just saying okay, okay. And then when I come over here, I'm going to once again get the text tool. The tool's kind of moved over here when we're in our graphics. And I'm going to say edited by. I could say modeled by, animated by, you know, whatever you're going to put here. Edited by, modeled by, etc. And then I can see what this would look like. It's going to kind of like go in and then kind of fade out. So it's kind of built in. Now there are some cool effects you can add to this as you're working. You can go up to the effects, and inside the effects there's a whole bunch of video transitions. Like for example, we could add, let me try and think of something, like let's just do a cross dissolve maybe at the end of this, and that means that when my title's showing, it then kind of fades out at the end instead of being such a quick ending. So you can kind of play around with those and add them. You can see, you can make your timeline bigger or smaller, dragging on the circles at the bottom here. You can scrub across like this. And so this is basically what we're going to be working on today, adding titles after you render out your project.